Everybody, Jesus loves you. My name's Cody, and you are watching the Monday episode of the Christian News Show thing that I do. And before we get into the news, I need to make a correction that a fan brought up on my last video. Because in my last video, I had said that Obama was for the international blasphemy law. And then I got a comment of, dude, did you even watch his speech? And of course, the problem was, I had not watched the speech, I had only read about it, and when I read something, I misinterpreted so terribly. You see, in one of the articles I read, it had barely mentioned that the Obama administration had reportedly asked Google to remove the anti-Islam video. But even that was a contrast to the fact that at the United Nations meeting, Obama was against the anti-blasphemy law. Since then, I have actually watched the speech, and he's very, very against the blasphemy law. He's very much so for freedom of speech. And President Obama makes an awesome point when he says there's no amount of blasphemy that justifies mindless violence. So I just want to clear that up because I do want to give you guys true facts at all times. And yeah, I'm going to admit that mistakes are going to happen, but they should definitely not be mistakes on my part where I misread because I was trying to hurry through. So I just want to give you guys an apology, clear that up, and tell you guys I am trying to make as quality of content as possible. And from that, we go on to the first story of the day. And our first story of the day is about a group of Christians who were pretty much stoned in Michigan by a group of Muslims. And right off the bat, I feel terrible for the Christians, but I read into it a little bit. And I honestly do not know who to blame within this. If you want to watch the video, it is in the link description below. I'm not going to include it in this video because it's so vulgar. But the video starts out with a policeman going out to a group of Christian protesters or street preachers, whatever you want to call them. And the policeman goes, hey, you can't have a megaphone here. It's against the ordinance, so you can't do that. And the Christians are like, but we had one last year, why can't we do that? And he was like, I wasn't here last year, I don't know, just following orders. And then one of the Christians is like, can we throw water bottles at the people? Is that okay? Because they're throwing water bottles at us. You're not arresting any of them. And then of course the policeman says, no, of course you can't throw water bottles at the people. And then as you keep watching, you see water bottles and eggs being thrown at them. Later on, it turns into like concrete, throwing plastic plates, cups, anything they can at the group of Christians. And like I said, the video does get really bad. They're like cussing at the Christians, they're throwing stuff, telling them to get away, things like that. And the Christians don't really seem to be doing anything. And with all that happening, the policemen, they ride through the line to try to like separate the two for a little bit, but they don't arrest anybody for throwing things at the Christian group. But here's where you stop feeling bad for the Christians. The town of Dearborn, Michigan is known for being the largest population of Muslim people in the United States. And on top of that, the Christian group decided that they were going to protest or street preach or whatever on the International Arab Festival. So again, they're not doing anything illegal, but they are just being really, really stupid. I mean, just as a Christian, how smart is it to go and find a group of Muslims just after the anti-Islam movie was made by a Christian and then hold up picket signs and tell them that they're all going to hell at a festival where they're celebrating their Muslim culture. And not all those picket signs were like Lake of Fire type stuff, but I did see a few, and the other ones were John 3:16, you know, you can be saved, and that's great and all. But if you have a picket sign, people immediately think of Westboro Baptist Church. So I really don't know what to think. The police, they should have arrested somebody, yes. The Muslims, they shouldn't have been throwing things, yes, but I don't know enough about this Christian group to really know if they are in the right. I mean, it does come from WND.com, which just seems notorious anymore for having these super biased, we tell you one side of the story and don't let you know the other, so that you have this opinion in your mind type website. And I couldn't decide on the verse today because I have two of them. Proverbs 18:2 I think goes to all three groups, the police, the Muslims, and the Christians, and that is, a fool finds no pleasure in trying to understand, yet delights in airing his own opinions. And then Proverbs 18:6 fit in way too well, and that was, a fool's words will bring him strife, and his mouth will invite a beating. So it has to be asked, do the mouths of these Christians invite a beating? Also in the news, the Assemblies of God has organized this thing where you pray at 7:14 every day. And churches everywhere are giving away little bracelets with a clock on it so that you can see 7:14, remember. You need to pray at 7:14 at night, 7:14 in the morning, and it's just this request that they're doing. And Assemblies of God is requesting that you pray for the leaders of the United States. You know, pray for them to be safe, pray for them to have wisdom in their choices that they make, and then prayers for yourself, just make sure that you choose the candidate you need to choose. And I love that it's political without being super political. It's just pray for your country, which we kind of should be doing already. And since we're talking about politics, have you noticed that Romney hasn't talked about social issues almost at all? My pastor of Dallas was talking about this and he said, you know, Romney hasn't brought up social issues at all, and that's what people care about right now. And I think he's right. All they've really talked about is the economy. Romney just wants to fix the economy. That's all he seems to really focus on. That doesn't really matter to me too much because I pretty much am a liberal on social issues. And yes, I know that's some kind of like no-no for Christians. But it does bring up a really good point that there are a lot of Christians out there that would probably vote for Romney just because of his Republican and conservative values. So I'm kind of curious, for the more conservative Christians that are watching this, do you think that if Romney talked about the social issues, you probably would be more inclined to vote for him? Let me know in the comment section below. We go on to the final story of the day. And then for our final story of the day, Pueblo, Colorado is not doing prayers at their public meetings anymore. And honestly, this has been in the news a lot lately from different atheist groups telling city councils they can't have prayer during their city council meeting. And in all honesty, the only part that I'm getting bugged about is the fact that the atheist group is from Wisconsin. I just don't see how a city council prayer in Colorado is affecting an atheist group in Wisconsin. But regardless, Pueblo City Council has decided to step down and say we're just going to have a moment of silence each time we have these meetings. And I mean, personally, I do think this is a good idea, because the atheists can do whatever they want in their moment of silence, the Christians can pray, and everyone can do what they want to do in this moment of silence. But as always, I have a question of the day, because I want to know what you guys think. Does the moment of silence work, or do you think they should have kept the prayer and fought for it? As always, leave a comment in the comment section below with your answer, leave a video response. It's all I've had to say in the news today, so in closing, let the haters hate, let the Christians pray, and to everybody like to subscribe. See you later, and God bless.